Okay, here we go. I looked on YouTube for a video on how to make a clay witch, and I couldn't find anything. So I decided, well, I'll just make one, put it out there for everyone to see. So this is my own design of a clay witch. You need to create patterns. So you can make a couple of these. Make a head. And it can be any shape or size. I hollowed it out so that it dries faster and doesn't blow up in the kiln. And that's probably the best thing to do. The body, a buckle. This buckle's for the hat. This is the hat. The rim for the hat. A collar for the body. 2 arms. And a belt for the hat itself. I'm going to put all these items on this canvas right here. Now these are semi-leather hard. You don't want to get them too dry because they will crack on you if you roll them up. So you want to keep them kind of moist and damp at the same time so that they don't crack on you. Give them a little bit of water, keep them kind of damp here. And I'm going to flip the pieces over and wet the back side of them as well. And that just keeps them from cracking while you're building, because they are going to be bent and twisted and what have you. Okay. So once we have all the pieces ready to go, we're going to assemble things. First thing we're going to do is we're going to build the body. And all this is a cone. And you can make these whatever size you'd like them. I have no specific shape or size for what I'm doing here. Kind of winged it because I didn't have a pattern to go by. Some water on my stick so that it doesn't drag and it's will rub and smooth real nice. Smooth that seam down. Try to get that seam together best as possible. Now you should probably slip and score these seams. That seam was kind of wet, so I wasn't too concerned about it. It is a good practice to slip and score everything. And if I do this again, I probably will slip and score this seam. Okay. So this is what you end up with. And when the clay gets too dry, it cracks like that. So a bit of water and a little rub will heal that crack. And this is just a quick demo, so you'll have to do a few of these to get them right. Okay. So that's the cone for the body. The head. Now, I am going to slip this and score this to get this head to stay on here. little bit of scoring. Scoring under the head itself. Some slip. A generous amount. I want this to fall off. Screw that head on there so it stays. And that's the head. Okay, this is the collar. The collar will go around there. Okay, slip, score, put the collar as well. I don't want anything falling off here. Slip over your scored marks. This is kind of wet still. Put the collar on. Underneath here, this line here, try to blend this together a little bit. And we can clean these up after they get leather hard. But for now, we want to blend this all together and get this seam as best as possible so it holds. Okay. And that's pretty good. That's the way the collar should look on your witch. Okay, now that we're at this point, I'm going to hit this with the heat gun. Regular heat gun. And just to give us a quick dry so I can handle it without it deforming. You don't want to dry it too much because you end up cracking it. Okay, so that makes it a bit harder and a little bit easier to handle. The next thing we want to do is we want to install the arms. Okay, and the arms are nothing more than just some rolled up pieces of clay, and we'll stick these to the body. And it'll be something about the shoulder height. Score it. Put a slip on it, both sides. Stick it to it. And the other arm. Do the same thing. Try to position them so they're about in the same position. Slip and score. It's pretty important. Get the stuff to stay together. Do the best you can. Clean everything up later. Okay. I'm going to try to get these arms to overlap. And hopefully they won't crack. And if they do, we'll have to deal with it. Okay, so I prefer them overlapping like that if at all possible. Set that aside. Got a chance to dry up a little bit. Okay, the hat. The rim. The hat itself. Okay. Use this stick, which is nothing more than a dowel rod sharpened in a pencil sharpener, and it'll give me a nice clean point up at the top there. So I'm going to roll this, use this to aid my rolling. Until I get this hat rolled together. Okay, a little slip, score, put the hat together. The hat's got a little bit of a tear out on the back side. That could be fixed up, not a problem. Clay is forgiving, and you work with it. It will work with you too. Okay. Seam up, make it disappear. These cracks, fill them in with a little bit of slip, just rub it all together, clean that up, make that stuff disappear. The inside as well. Do the best you can at getting some. So that seam cleaned up inside there. That'll help hold it together. Rub the clay. Don't add water. Just rub the clay together. And that's kind of that part of the hat. The rim. Bead a slip around here. Now this clay is fairly moist, that's why I'm not worried about wetting it down or scoring this piece. Slide this over top of that hat. Clean this up beforehand because it's really hard to get in there afterwards. Sponge a little bit of water, not too much. You don't want to pull the grog up in the clay or the sand. Get your hat to look something like this. Give it a nice shine with the clay, or with the water and the sponge to the clay. And clean it up real nice. Okay. The belt buckle. Seam in the front so you can hide it. Stick that over the top of the hat. this part. Some slip on the back of it. Slip it here. Stick this together. And give it a little bit of pressure to get it together. And clean the inside of this out so you can actually see the detail of the buckle. Otherwise you'll lose your details, especially when you glaze it. So just fill it in, you'll never see the inside of this buckle. Try to get that cleaned out in there. Okay, the hat is ready to put on. And you can position the hat anywhere you would like to. Slip. Okay, and that is a witch. Now, after it's all done, you'll clean it up. Take your sponge to it, take your tool to it, do what you want. When it's nice and leather hard and set up, you can clean it up real nice. Glaze it and fire it. It's all hollow, it won't explode on you. Everything is nice. That is my patterned witch, since you can't find one on the internet. That is the witch.